welcome back to the Big Fish Contracting Podcast. Thank you once again for joining us. I'm your host, Eric, along with my lovely co-host, Tanya. Tanya, how you doing?
Good. Good morning.
Good morning. We have another guest.
We do.
Yeah, his name's Cory LeFever. He owns LeFever Roofing, and been a friend, acquaintance now for years. We've done a lot of projects together. He has, you'll talk a little bit more about his niches and specialties, but he is a high-end roof expert, cedars, shake.
I would say we get called in on a lot of that pretty unique stuff. Yeah.
Really detailed metalwork. And of course, you will hammer out asphalt shingles with the best of them, like us.
We try.
Too.
Yep. Yep. That's your neck of the woods for sure.
That is a little bit more of our wheelhouse, but I met Cory just through relationships at at ABC Supply Company, and we had done some cedar work in the past, and we do know how to do it. Just wasn't really our niche, and so began partnering with Cory.
We got just a good working relationship where we can bounce ideas off each other once in a while. We're competitors, yes, but we're more work together on stuff where he's like, you're a little bit more adapted for something like this, Cory. Maybe this is something works better for you. I'll get something that maybe is a little bit more in your wheelhouse, and we'll share back and forth, projects and ideas and stuff. So
yeah,
we got a good working relationship.
Absolutely. So give us a little bit of who you are. Married, children.
Yep.
Who is Cory LeFever?
Who is Cory? I grew up in Slinger, Wisconsin. I'm a Slinger owl. Went to Oshkosh, graduated Oshkosh in 2000. I roofed in the summers during college for a friend of mine, brother-in-law, who was a roofing contractor out of Dodge County area. So we were roofing barns and farmhouses. I mean, the nastiest of the nasty stuff is how I learned. Uh-huh. So a lot of it I get away from, but curved barns, unsafe, all that stuff, I did it all when I was very young. So that transferred into graduating school, and then...
What did you graduate with a degree in?
Communications and a minor in business.
Okay.
And I went to originally school to be a cop. I was criminal justice.
Oh.
So I started in criminal justice, and then got going in college. And I'm like, I don't know if I really got this knack for this business side of things. So I kind of transferred over and started doing more... business related. I'm good at business minor, but at that point I was kind of far into the criminal justice where I'm like, we better make this transition quicker. I'm going to be here forever.
Yeah.
So got that going. I roofed in summers. I also owned a college pro painting franchise for 3 years.
Oh, you did?
That really that got you really good training on how to one, put out fires, because you got young kids painting homes, so you know what's going to happen there. So
that's the finest work.
Yeah, so you try and you train, but you
showing up at 10.
Yes. So you learn conflict management and conflict resolution and how to fix things and do things the right way, and that instilled early in me how to deal with customers on the home side of remodeling and just what to do and what not to do. And it was really a crash course. And then that transferred into LeFever Roofing with a buddy of mine that started it. I had some work lined up through painting. You'd paint a house and the customer's like, we're looking for a roofer. I'm like, well, I've roofed, I'll get some buddies here. We'll do it on a Saturday. Mm-hmm. So that kind of transferred into LeFever Roofing as we know it today, and 25th year anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. So that's a long time, which is one of the reasons why I like having a relationship with you, because you've been in it for, like us, for a long time, a seasoned veteran. And there's a lot of new companies that are starting up that just don't have the knowledge that certainly you have, because you've done it.
I talk about it all the time. I see salespeople start a roofing company that have never installed a shingle. You've seen stuff just spin up quickly because there's work out there. And last year alone, or the last year and a half, we fixed almost $800,000 of poorly installed roofs. None of them yours, but some of our competition in the area.
Thank goodness.
But yes, we've done quite a bit of, and a lot of that is with the storm damage and a lot of different contractors coming into the area. Yeah. And a lot of the quality control things kind of go out the window when there's a high volume of roofs. Then the quality control kind of has issues.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's where we can get into that, but that's where I've always been focused on is not quantity really, and where our sales volume is really pretty steady. It's not any, we're not huge,
Yeah.
but we really, I never wanted to get over my ski tips. Always do with it what you can control and what you can keep doing a good job with. And that was one of my tenets that I've always, not quantity over quality. Some companies are very sales driven, sales folks, sales goals, which maybe I should be that a little bit more on that side, but I've always been more project, customer, and just, producing a quality product that you can be proud of. In our industry, it's hard to do. It's not easy.
It is. Let me ask you about college. So with this business degree, young, you were in your 20s, right? When you popped out. How much value did you find from what you learned in college to translating into running a business? Or was it, obviously it's probably more just experience getting out there and do it, but was there good value that you learned?
I would say making a decision, being in college and having goals, having assignments, having a structure, help me instill the professional level, because you're around and building interpersonal relationships with other college guys, and you're making those relationships. Those people are going out in the professional world. Now your list of contacts has grown, and people know who you are, and that helps grow your business a little quicker, because everything is relationships. Everything is who you know, relationships. People like to buy who they like, right? They like to buy from somebody they like, and they trust, obviously. So that college, I didn't really pick up any roofing knowledge in college. No, that was all summers, but it was all just professional level organization a little bit.
Time management.
Time management.
Well, I never went to college, so I was wondering always what I could have been.
I think you're doing fine. It's kind of a rare back. Yes, right now. Yes,
okay.
That would be fun.
Sign me up, Tom. But I do find it interesting because we're around a lot of young people, and trying to navigate and figure out their path. And I'm always, there's so much value to just being out in the world, right, in the work world, and experience that and just figure things out. But I think I like what you said about just kind of the disciplines that come with school as a young person and goals and.
Well, you're around professional level people that there's an expectation level. You need to have those expectation levels, even when you're dealing with customers and clients. That's super important. A level of professionalism is, I've always tried, even from the start of my company, like I would show up with a laptop and a portable printer. I was like one of the first guys that invested in this archaic software that wasn't handwritten, because my handwriting's terrible. So it's really poor, and I can't spell. So I'd have to have something done. And I'm like, I've got to present this in a professional way. So I literally had a laptop, and I bought a portable printer, battery powered, that I would print off estimates when I was at the job site, and that blew people away. That was the initial bit of technology that blew people away. And then the second thing, technology, is when I started using drones a long time ago. Okay. Basically, I had a high schooler, our Arrowhead high school student was mowing my grass like many years ago, and he's like, "Mr. LeFever, you ever think about a quadcopter for your roofing business?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "We build these in robotics." He's all quadcopter. That's what he said, quadcopter. Okay. So I'm like, a quadcopter.
The drone rolls off the tongue a little bit better.
Yes, it does. So then he's like, a drone. You can attach a camera to them. They're easy to fly. I'm like, no, but that's a great idea. Yeah. So then that's where I started looking into it. And DJI, they're like the Apple of drones. Now that's where So I kind of started using a drone lots of years ago to get photos and inspections, and so I've always kind of tried to, grasp onto a really good idea and/or a technology.
I did have a printer in my truck at one time, and I was doing that maybe after you started it, but. The drone, I have guys who fly drones. It's been on my list.
It's easy.
To do.
They're so easy.
Fly. It's like playing a video game.
It is so easy to do. Yes, you could pick it up, and they fly themselves.
Yeah, and the days of climbing on the roofs, they're kind of coming to an end. You don't have to as much, especially these big steep ones where you really have to look.
We know what we're looking for when we're looking at those roofs. Where for us to crawl around up there and risk our lives on an inspection or a repair is kind of old school thinking where we've seen it and done it. We've produced thousands of roofs where we know when a valley's terminating to the corner of a corner board, that's going to be an issue. We know when we see a saddle up there that's looking a little weird, we just need to visually see what it is. And then we can make that the judgment. But I've got little kids at home. I don't need to be falling and hurting myself anymore. If I got to get on a roof, I will, absolutely. But like, I can do it way more efficiently. We can do way more faster and get great photos of customers with a drone. It's just better.
That's good. That's good advice. Good advice for me too. I gotta
go get yourself a drone.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll do that rather than scaling up the Ray kind of 812.
Don't do that. Unless you think you have.
Well, answer your call.
Yeah, while the phone's in my ear. Yeah, no, that's good advice. So you've been in Lake Country pretty much since, or did you start up in Slinger? Or
No, I started in Waukesha, basically right by the Walmart. A friend of mine owned a bunch of apartment buildings, and I graduated college. I needed a place to live, and my painting territory was Waukesha. Okay. So College Pro Painting, they give you a territory. That was my territory, and that's where we started doing basically side roofs. And so I started in Waukesha. I then moved I found a place on Okachi Lake to rent. So I rented this little cottage out of Okachi Lake. I lived there for 4 or 5 years, and then the business kept growing, and I was just parking in my neighbors' areas, and I trucks and equipment. I'm like, this is not working, right? I love the lake, but this is not working. So then I found a house out in Dousman with a lot more land, and then now we've since moved again. And so we've had a progression.
Back on the lake now?
No, just in Dousman, just south of like Wales, kind of Wales-Dousman area now. But we have just the progression, and now we moved to Heartland, that one office. I always worked on the house, and then we had the store on 83, kind of up from you for a little while on 83. We were there for 7-8 years, and now I just bought a new location in Neshota. So now in the last month, we moved over to Neshota into a new building and a new shop, and hopefully that'll be it. That'll be the end of it.
So you started primarily in asphalt, I'm assuming, roofing. But that has since graduated into really all these higher end asphalt shingles, obviously metal, copper. I know you do copper and cedar. Was that just organic, just a little at a time, learning how to add these niches?
So I had a really good customer base. We do lots of stuff for, I'm not going to name drop, but very well-known people, high-end customer base, CEOs, and I have a good knowledge base, a baseline, and I started getting a lot of that request, especially with cedar. And I'm looking around at Lake Country and Mequon. I'm noticing a lot of cedar roofs they're failing, right? And there's going to be a big need for these coming forward, and nobody really was specializing in that. So I made the conscious effort to really learn it. Become a CSSB member installer, which is the Cedar Shake Shingle Bureau. They're like the FDA of cedar. They really set all the standards and the parameters and the warranties. And that was a really tough, it's not an easy accreditation to get. It's pretty hard, actually. So we got that. So I just saw the need for it, and I saw the future kind of in that line of work a little bit, specializing in it, especially being in this area. And I know it wasn't always going to stay cedar. There's products have, as you know, have progressed. You know, back in the day, it was a dimensional shingle. It was like, holy cow, a dimensional shingle. And now it's like, they didn't really have a luxury.
Find a 3-tab.
Yes, right. The 3-tabs are gone. Dimensionals are every day, and back, you know, in the 90s and the early 2000s, cedar was high-end roofing, which they were selling it as a lifetime roof, which is completely false. And we can talk about that a little bit too, but they were selling it as the high end, and it looks great. Cedar's beautiful. There's a lot of great things about it, but it just doesn't. It's a 20 to 30 year roof on most installs.
Even with a perfect install, your 25 years is average life on cedar. Well, let's dive into cedar just a little bit. There's different types of cedar. Right. What are the main? Talk a little bit about, we hear Certa Blue Label,
number one,
hand split terms. Why don't you educate our listeners a little bit on the differences of cedar? Buckle up, folks.
You need a bathroom break, take a nap.
So cedar is really two different base types, right? You have hand splits, which is the most common, and you have a taper sawn. Taper sawn shingle is the really traditional way of roofing. That's what they did. That's like a Cape Cod style roof. They're machined 4 sides. Where a hand split is like medium hand split is like what's in Bristol Cone Pines. All those subdivisions, basically the medium hand split is it's a 10 inch to the weather. Very common install, okay? With interwoven felt. We can dive into really get into the nuts of it, but you have to decide whether or not you're in a hand split category or if you're in a taper sawn. Because both categories are totally different installs, totally different specs, all kinds of different variables there.
Same material, essence?
It is, yes, but there's different grading. Like you would go to a restaurant and get a really good steak, or you go to Sendik's, you have your choice of, you can get prime, choice, wagyu,
yeah.
Same thing. Cedar has the ability to order your shakes with a lot of edge grain, or a number one Certa grade 100% edge grain where the graining is lining up like that, where it's just the heart grain is what you want, and you really want good quality cedar because there's no warranty. Mother Nature makes it, right?
Yeah.
So Mother Nature dictates how long it's going to last. And your fiber, right? You want good Canadian fiber. So knowing mills, like I've got in depth into like knowing that some mills give me not great product versus other mills are really producing a great product. And then you hone those into those mills to really get in your packs. This is kind of going a little bit into it again, but you really want 80, 90 to 100% edge grain pieces, because then you get pieces that have flat graining, and I don't have my visual aids along, but flat grain are so they curl up.
Describing
Yes, it's just the quality of the wood is super important, and I can't stress that enough. The fasteners, we use only but stainless steel fasteners because our roof fails first, especially the ridge caps, because cedar is very caustic and acidic, and it actually, when they were using just standard fasteners, it would rust them out like that. The tannin structure, and it's just very acidic in it.
Which is why they're so susceptible to wind damage.
100%.
Right? Yeah.
It's the fasteners themselves that are failing, not the shakes themselves. They're rusting through. So that's part of it, knowing your fasteners and what you're using where, and breathability. And the install, you really want cedar to breathe. So you really got to know your decking, what you're dealing with underlayments, if you can get air to that shake, because they cook from the underside. Is what happens. And a shake, if it's on a deck and there's moisture on the flat side of it, that shake works like a sponge, and that cedar will suck up the moisture from the backside. Top side will be dry, bottom side will have dampness to it, and that's how you get curling, cupping, and warping.
Which is why you'll see on older homes, especially down in east side of Milwaukee, you see that, but older homes in Oconomowoc, they would have the gapping in the slat boards, right? So so air could flow
100%.
through the cedar, right? Yep. But when they were building homes in these subdivisions, Bristol Cone you mentioned, we saw builders just applying cedar right over OSB.
Yeah.
Which is problematic because it doesn't breathe. Correct?
Doesn't breathe, yes, correct.
And they make a product called Cedar Breather. Do you use Cedar Breather?
We do. It's pricey, but depending on the application, depending on what we're doing, you want to get airflow. I always give it as an option, but under a taper sawn roof versus a hand split. Hand split's 10 inches to the weather, 24-inch piece of shake, variable thickness, meat ½ inch, 3/4 to a 1 inch butt, at the butt they call it, interwoven with 30-pound felt. Okay, that's your traditional install. Air will flow through that because they're rougher and air can get at them, and the felt paper is breathable. Versus a taper sawn roof, like the traditional, they're installed at anywhere from 5 inches to the weather to 6-7 inches to the weather. They're triple lapped, so as you're going up the roof, the cedars, you don't use as much underlayment because you've got 3 layers of protection. An 18-inch piece at 5 inches to the weather, 5 times 5 times 5 is 15, and you got still 2 to 3 inches of head lap.
Yeah.
So that's a traditional look. It's really popular right now. I'm selling a lot more taper sawns than I am hand splits because they like that whole like modern farmhouse look is coming back, and they really like that taper sawn look. But because those pieces are machined, they're fitting so tightly together, there's not as much airflow. So it's really imperative you put Cedar Breather underneath.
It is. If you're going over
OSB.
yeah.
So the CSSB isn't. I've been talking to them about breathability. Cedar Breather, they don't 100% endorse it, but they don't not endorse it. They said yes, it's really advisable, but we don't know. The jury's out yet because it's a newer product. They've been doing like some 6-year testing. And they're like, we just don't know yet how effective it is. But yes, getting that cedar up on a plywood deck with cedar breather is crucial.
Yeah. Are you looking at homes, the envelope of homes for air loss, moisture loss, like air sealings type of stuff when you're looking at roofs to try to minimize that, the really the heat loss, which turns into moisture when it gets up into the attic? Is that something you're looking at much?
We do, but with you can't always alter the structure. When you're doing a wood roof or some of these higher end roofs, a hot deck, ventilation is important for the roof. For breathability is really important, right? No matter what you're putting on the roof. Yep. Some metal roofs, there's other products you can put down, like a synthetic shake, where if you've got a challenged roof or a challenged structure that we can't rebuild homes all the time.
Correct. Yeah.
Proper airflow is key. Can we always achieve it? No, it's just not always achievable. But we do our best to get as far down that road as we can.
Yeah.
But yes, heat loss and moisture getting up into attic and getting that out is super important, because you'll get that moisture in that attic will transfer through to that decking, and it'll get to the underside of the sheeting, and then that you just want that air movement, so it's recouping that.
Another question. I got lots of questions. So cedar, the cost of it.
Yeah,
it's pretty expensive.
Fluctuates like a commodity. It's gone anywhere from $3 a square foot up to $9 a square foot in the last 3 years.
And back.
And now we're in the middle. We're somewhere in the middle now, depending on. But that's again, every roof is different, because you can order these things. You can custom build these things with, depending on the level of quality you want. Do you want them certigrade? A certigrade shingle would be like ordering it 90-ish% edge grain. Number one blue label certigrade, like number one blue label is a one step, and then certigrade is another step. Okay. So certigrade actually carries a warranty, and it's just another step up that the mill places on these products, that they're saying you're going to get 85 to 90% edge grain product here. You shouldn't have a lot of bark, knot holes. So yes, though that'll fluctuate. The thickness of the shake, we've been doing a lot of custom stuff, so we're doing 5/8. I'm ordering them thicker because I'm seeing that the wood is not holding up as longer now. A lot of our cedar is not holding up as long. It's hard to put a why that is. Maybe it's not original cedar growth. They call it old growth, new growth. I don't know if I like that terminology, but Western red cedar is where you want to get it from. There's American cedar, which I don't know that is behind it.
Yeah. So because of that, just even with a quality install, the material itself is there's possibly better options out there from the lot, which is where we get into the new synthetics, right?
Yep, correct.
Which
maintenance. Cedar requires maintenance. We order them. There's a whole thing we a little bit skipped over, not much, but you could order these things CCA pre-treated. Like I would say 75% or 80% of the roofs. It's like putting pressure-treated lumber on, right?
Sure.
They take these, they put this product into vats, and they basically pressure impregnate this cedar with zinc borate and some other stuff that keeps the algae, the critters and the algae at bay. But even that, if you're in a really covered area, tree coverage, moisture, lake, you really should hire a professional to clean and treat. And we get a lot of work back and forth from companies like Pro Wood Care up in Menominee Falls. They're a really good company. But cleaning and treating every 5 to 7 years is, if you don't...
You do recommend that?
Yeah.
Okay.
The cleaning and treat. If on a new install, you have a treated roof, it should eliminate some of that maintenance for a while. Sorry, Tim Cross. But if you order pre-treated, it's going to really help eliminate some of that maintenance cost. And I always say, as a rule of thumb, it's $1 a square foot or $1.50 a square foot for a treatment company to come and clean and treat a roof. Yeah. Where if you order a roof pre-treated, it's like 65 cents a square foot-ish. Mm-hmm. So it's really money ahead to just order them pre-treated.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how do you feel about these new products that are coming out, the Da Vinci, Bravas, F-Wave?
We have a really good background in Da Vinci. We've been a certified installer for a lot of years. So we get a lot of transfers. People that don't want the cedar maintenance anymore, we got to have options, right? So in a lot of subdivisions, HOAs have restrictions on what they can install back on. Yep. They want to keep the levels up. They want to keep the product up. So we have, a lot of it is a triple laminate, like a Presidential or a Grand Manor. Those will be allowed. Then you go into the actual real cedar again. and then you go back into then you can get into a non-maintenance 50 years, let's say, like synthetic, like a Da Vinci, a Brava. I don't have a ton of background in F-Wave, but lots of background in Da Vinci. They have Slate, Shake, Brava. We've been doing the last couple of years. They're really coming on strong with a good product. We're certified Brava installers now. No maintenance, great looking roof. There has some challenges a little bit with it, with snow, the sliding. One thing that I see a lot of contractors miss that we fix is they're not putting enough snow cleats on, or they're not even speccing snow cleats in. Where on a plastic roof, it's like putting a big slip and slide up there, where that shake is porous, and that wood will hold on to that snow and ice.
Yeah.
You're putting plastic up. Yeah, it's coming.
Get the sludge
It's
out.
coming. Yeah, it's coming. Right.
Get the sleds out. The kids are up there.
So you wanna just we always put them in, but a snow guard. They don't have to be on all aspects of the roof, but around the eaves, it's important. So that's otherwise it's going to look great. They've got some great product. There's also been, I'm going a little fast here, but there's been some failure in the industry in the synthetics, like you've seen. There's been a lot of failures, and we've seen it firsthand.
Anytime you're introducing a newer technology, a newer product into
against
the world
the sun
of building,
the sun is the ultimate judge.
Yeah.
This Mother Nature and the sun will say if that plastic's going to hold up or not. And there's been in the history some really bad products out there. We're dealing with some right now on some product that came out that was supposed to be the latest and greatest. I was very apprehensive about it. I'm always very apprehensive about it unless there's a lot of testing. And sure enough, there's a product that's failing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're in the middle.
Yeah. I got a couple of them. Yeah. I got like 3 or 4 roofs that unfortunately are starting to curl up on their 12-inch pieces. It's all the big ones, and they're all starting to cup and turn up.
How's the company handling
Terrible.
it with you? Okay.
They're basically they've been horrible.
Yeah.
My customers are understanding. We've been working with them really close hand in hand. They get the product that we didn't manufacture it, but I've been there like with inspections, with attorneys, with doing everything you can to push them over the to get some sort of resolution.
Yeah. Well, because the homeowner is stuck with a bad roof.
It sucks, and
it
you
was
feel
not,
terrible about it.
Yeah, and it was probably not cheap.
No,
that product.
They're all very expensive stuff.
Yeah,
these are all $70,000 to $150,000 roofs. We do. My average ticket, is anywhere from $50,000 to $150,000 generally. That's our roof.
That's a roof, folks. For the high end products. Yeah,
bigger houses. It's expensive.
Yeah.
People always, why is it so? And I hate to really get down to brass tacks on it, but it's expensive because it's expensive. You have a lot of product. You've got a complicated roof. You've got a big house. There's a lot going on there, and you're not putting average material on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
it's expensive because it's expensive.
And you shifting gears into the metalwork a little bit. You do a lot of metalwork, a lot of custom standing seam, copper.
Yep.
And that's another niche that you really, I think, have done a great job in just being that reliable contractor that you can trust. Because there's a lot of guys out there slapping on.
They don't know
metal.
You really got to know the details. Metal.
Yeah.
You got to have a good brake guy. You got to have a really good knowledge of flashings, how to bend them, how to fabricate them, what works with what. If you've got a masonry flashing versus a siding flashing versus what you're integrating to and how those systems work together, because metal is a whole different ballgame than because there's a whole different flashing setup. There's a whole different where everything meets walls, how the valley's terminated. Metal is a whole different animal. Yeah. And it's not hard, but there's some really key tenets to it that you have to know in order for it to be a successful system. And then just having access to a good guy who knows how to break things the right way and a production team that can execute it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is having that. I don't execute, right? I have guys that you trust to execute it the right way. Yeah. You have to rely on them. And I've got some really good team over the years that really enjoy. And you don't always do well on these nice projects because
you got to
it takes time to get it right.
You're doing it right.
And everything is custom one-off. That's the other part. So you got to really be thinking on your toes, and the guys in the field, and how to handle this situation, because they're older homes. There's always a unique saddle or something happening there where you got to have a guy that knows how to problem solve.
Yeah.
And it takes time, and you don't always, there's a big numbers, but you don't always do great because they take time to produce.
Absolutely. I mean, do you see there's a small market for all of this stuff?
Yep.
But these are generally more higher end type homes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That.
Or historical. We do a lot of historical work where we're doing one right now in Washington Heights, where they're allowing a grand manor, but it's all the old historical home built in 1902. But they want all copper back, and they want stepped copper, not straight copper. Uh-huh. So they want custom collector boxes, copper collector boxes that have to be decorative. It's a lot of detail,
and you're building them all on site, basically.
Well, or we're either ordering fabbing, ordering them from. There's a company out of Texas that we can order a lot of cool stuff through, or we're having them made right here in Heartland, or we do our guys do it on site.
Do siding work as well?
Yeah, we do. You know what? Most of our siding work, we quietly have a great siding team. We don't advertise it because we're really referral based on most of our stuff. We're not big volume on siding. We probably do. We're getting more. We're getting a lot more recently, but we might do 2 a month, maybe, or maybe 12 to 20 a year at the most. A lot of it is new construction. We do a lot of new construction. We have a big new construction side to our business, and most of the siding work would be new construction. Yeah, okay. We do a little bit of retail on referral only on the siding work, but. That's where I've even in the past I shot I've shot stuff your way. Mm-hmm. A lot of stuff builder related because they want us to handle the full envelope of the outside of the house. So and it's smart to do that. Have one contractor handle the full envelope because then if there's a problem, there's not the
phone call.
Right. Yeah. There's not. It's a siding guy's issue.
Right. Yeah, they're pointing fingers.
Right.
Yeah.
Or we get that
and do you do commercial as well?
We do, we do commercial low slope TPO. We've got a base of customers that we've worked with for 15, 20 years. That's another area we're really strong in. With TPO and welding and custom copings, that's where you need to have that metal department and that guy on that break and a person who knows how to run custom copings because flat roofing and metalwork go hand in hand. If you can't do metalwork, you can't do flat roofing properly because they're all terminated. The flashings are all unique, all custom, and they're all steel. And you gotta know how to handle those areas. And I'm lucky to have those team of people that can put it together. But we do a fair amount of low slope. We got a big project right downtown. Not big, but down Wauwatosa, right by the Bartolotta. There's a building down there we're going to be doing. I've done some developers. We do a lot of stuff. I got a couple clients that have a lot of, not call them perfect buildings, but they need to get them watertight, sort of.
When you're doing that building down in Tosa, let me know because Amber lives in Tosa, but she'll have her team go and do some photography and do some tagging on our social media, and then we can link it to this podcast too.
It's right it's right on the same street. It's right up from.
I know exactly.
Bartolotta's. It's really close to there.
And one of your favorite projects you've worked on?
Favorite projects. Oh, man.
Done a lot. 25 years. That's a lot of projects.
I would say, we did a lot of, we kind of got going in this high-end side, Terrace Avenue, Milwaukee. That's right. It's on the east side. It's right, not on Lake Drive, but it's the next one over. That's where we did our first major cedar shingle roof on this old historic home. I forgot how I got the lead. Really good, really cool customers. It was literally learning as we went. And having some good roofers there and really learning. And the other thing I'm always really good about doing is putting my pride to the side and making a phone call if I don't know something, calling a professional that I think does. And my network of people, our network is strong. Yeah. And I know I've been in this business so long that I know the right person for the right aspect, and putting the pride aside and just calling somebody and be like, hey, what do we think? What do you think about this? Or I'm at this spot. I don't really know how to handle it. Or what's best case scenario here, and send them a photo. So that's a part, I think, of the reason of the success is just the little bit of humbleness about knowing when to say when, knowing when to say no, or when to say I need help here, or I'm not sure how to handle this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we became friends, because I would just start hammering you and asking you questions about your expertise in these areas that I it wasn't my forte, and you've been very gracious, as people have been probably with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, very gracious about just answering questions that I have, and even getting involved when I need you to. So it's been a great relationship. So you're married.
Yep.
Children.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Couple.
Yep. Two boys.
How old are they?
I got a 7th grader going into 8th, and I got a 4th grader going into 5th. So
Okay.
we're 10 and what are we, 13-ish, I think.
That's about right.
Yeah.
Levi and Logan, yes, they're one lacrosse, one baseball, lots of sports. I started kids a little later in life, and now I'm kind of in the mix of it right now. So my time is
Valuable.
shrinking during the day, right? And we own another business as well, me and my wife, that requires a lot of my maintenance attention, I would call it. I change a lot of light bulbs, fix a lot of signs, fix a lot of like hair. We own a salon and spa, so fix a lot of chairs.
What's
that
the
don't
name
fall
of the
off.
salon and
It's called
spa?
Aqua Beauty Lounge and Med
Shout
Spa.
out Aqua Beauty Lounge.
Yeah, so we've had that for, the second location, it's 2011, I think.
You have 2 locations now,
No,
or
just,
you
just one in
moved?
Pewaukee.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, we started in the little building, and then I bought the building across the street. It was the old Michael's. It was across from Michael's, but it was like Kahuna's. It was been like 8 restaurants.
Okay.
Oh,
Mike
and that's a
Carvello.
hair salon?
No, it's a salon and spa. Yeah,
Oh, very
it's right
nice.
on Pewaukee, that's us on the corner. Actually, I bought Mike Carvello, the camera guy. Remember?
Yeah.
him? You owned it. Mike Carvello's.
Those
Yeah,
were the
that's it.
wonderful
That was, yeah, he had lots of real estate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before
They
my
still
time.
have a place out on Bluemont Road.
Yes.
So that's where they originally
Yeah.
were, maybe.
Yeah.
So did your wife run it?
Yeah.
Okay. And you just changed light bulbs?
And fixes.
Yeah. And what?
And fixes hair dryer.
And
Fixes hair
Yeah.
chairs when the pumps stop working.
Those ladies are hard on the equipment.
Yeah, I pull a lot of hair out of drains. That's one of my other specialties. Is these big long hairballs? They look like a rat out of. If you want to use it or not, but
Delicious.
they get in the trap and they stop draining, and I know exactly what's going on. And you go in there.
At the sink, it's not working again.
It's not working. It's not draining.
It's just
there's a hair rat in the trap. It's really easy to pull off, and then you see it, and you're like, oh, sure enough. And you pull it out and throw it away, and it drains.
So
perfect.
is that the most rewarding part of your day?
pulling the hair rod out of the drain.
Oh no, but it really gets me a lot of thank yous because the girls can use the shampoo bowls, and they're very happy that it's draining and the water's draining well.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
no one wants a full sink while you're washing.
Air filters. Oh shit. Sorry.
You're fine.
I change a lot of air filters. I own a lot of furnaces. A lot of them. Between my house and the hair salon and the other properties, I don't know what it is, but that's my nemesis is air filters. So I am like the air filter expert. If you want to know anything about an air filter,
Do you buy them in bulk?
I do.
I mean, that's the way
yes,
to go.
you have to. They're nuts. I buy them in packs. It's like 12. And at the hair salon, we have 3 RTUs up there, rooftop units, and each of them take 5, and all the
that's a
chemicals, all the stuff in the air
Oh,
filters
I
in it,
suppose
and
the
it gums
hair
them up.
dye and the-
All that, like
Who would have thought?
No, it's cold in
and
there.
then they stop working. So then the RTUs stop working because the sensors, the airflow, and literally these filters should last 3 months. They last 1 month.
Oh
And they
my
have to be-
goodness.
and then the units stop working.
And now it's cold in the salon.
Or the air. That's the air conditioner.
I'm
That's the air.
tired just listening to you having to battle all that honey-do list is long. Plus your house.
Yes, I got a
Yeah,
house.
near property in Minocqua too.
Yeah, Minocqua.
Corey's a big snowmobiler, as I am. When it used to snow, that was fun.
Yeah, it was great when it snowed.
Right?
Yeah, it was a great
It's been a couple
sport.
years.
Yeah, it's a little bit
Now
last year.
I just store snowmobiles
Yes.
now, which is fun.
Yes, and I bought one last year too, hoping
did I.
there was going to be good snow. I bought another new one,
Did you?
being like it's going to snow
Yeah.
this year. Let's really get involved here and buy a brand new snowmobile.
Probably just keep that stuff in Canada. It just
Ease
doesn't-
up.
No.
So no shit. Tanya
good.
doesn't like it cold.
I don't like it cold.
It's the most fun you can have with your clothes on, snowmobiling.
I love snowmobiling. There's another line for you. You can use that as the snippet for our
The
most fun you can have with your clothes on.
Yeah.
Welcome, Cory LeFever.
That's a good line.
I know.
It is
I know.
very enjoyable.
Thoughts on the industry and some changes, products, anything new
Oh,
developing
man.
that you're thinking?
Well, as we're all experiencing now, we've had some storms. So we see a little influx in hail and how to manage that and get the customers into a better than they had roof at their budgetary number. So working with that. Insurance is a big driver in our work right now. I'm getting a ton of requests, especially in the cedar world. Insurance companies don't want to. They're having a hard time finding insurance for cedar shake roofs.
Yes.
So I'm getting probably once every other day, or because I'm the kind of the resident expert.
Yeah.
Insurance companies are asking customers to get other cedar shake roof inspected and or certified and or a report back because they want to cancel a lot of cedar shake insurance right now. So and there's a lot less company
changing so much.
Yeah.
I mean, if your roof is older than 15 years now, you can't even get a policy for recoverable on it. It's
So a lot of that is driving a lot of new roofs. I would say a lot of my sales, 30 to 40% is insurance related.
Okay.
Pushing people into.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Lots of that.
It's not just my roof is failing.
No, it's people losing insurance, or it's time, or insurance companies pushing people into new roofs, honestly.
Yeah.
So that's a big push. The cedar roof conversion right now, because we had a big building boom in the 80s and 90s, or 90s with all the McMansion stuff. So a lot of those roofs are turning over. So that's where a lot of my stuff comes from. A lot of metal. People are really, really on the metal
farmhouse look.
Yes.
The farmhouse,
They want the metal till they see the metal price.
Agree. That's when
Everybody wants it.
That's when it looks really nice on the porch.
Yes, the porch.
Yeah.
That dormer, let's get some metal on it. The rest of the house, not so much.
Yeah.
Lots of highlighting, lots of highlights. A lot of architects building metal shed roofs into their look because it looks nice together,
it does.
right? And
Yeah.
people love metal. And metal is, my opinion is metal is it is the cure-all, end-all, final. It is the best roof. It's not going to leak. It's not going to blow off. It's going to last well over 40 years. A hidden fastener system might fade a little bit, but it is just going to be worry-free. Done right. It is the best roof.
Yeah. Well, that says something coming from a resident expert with 30 years of experience in roofing too.
I mean, it is the only thing about it is something little but minor is cell phone reception. Cell phone reception with a full metal roof.
Out with the metal. I can't. My kids would have no part of it.
This is not happening.
Right.
I guess it's kind of like a bunker.
It is. So metal roofs are tough on cell phone reception, depending on where you're located. That's the one thing. Well, the other question I get in metal roofs: are they loud?
Yeah, when it rains.
I get that.
Are they loud?
I think it's a beautiful sound.
It's a nice sound, but if it's loud, it means your insulation sucks.
Okay.
You know, honestly,
Sure.
you got a lot of layers in between that and your roof. Yeah. Like, you get hit by hail, you're going to hear it. But on a rainstorm, no. If on a porch where there's no insulation and you're right to the metal, maybe a little bit, but metal roofs are not loud. I get a lot of questions on that.
Interesting.
And if you're properly insulated and things are good, no, it shouldn't be any different.
So tell us a little bit about just your new digs over there in Neshota.
Oh, so yeah, we needed more office space. We had a really tiny office at the last. Everybody was on top of each other. It just wasn't. There's no privacy. I've been looking for a while. It's been very hard to find commercial property in Lake Country, and I didn't want to move way out. And there's options out. Yeah. But I didn't want to do that. So it's a really nice location. It's centrally located. We're already out of space. You know, we could use more space, but it's a nice morale boost. It's a change, new environment. New guys have new offices. Yeah. It's a really.
You don't get a lot of walk-in traffic, anyways, right?
I got a meeting room, but I did a whole little we're still working on it. But because we do such unique. We have samples, right? Yeah. I want to see what that looks like. I want to see how this is. I want to see the color of that. Yeah. So we're bringing in metal samples with cedar, metal with our synthetics, lots of our Bravo. Cool. People want to see that metal with. Cool. So we have a room now that people can come into and meet at and really discuss their project. You know, like you would go in and pick up plumbing fixtures at Ferguson. Mm-hmm. Like some of these high-end roof projects aren't just shingles anymore. They're 3 different medias. We're doing TPO saddles, we're doing metal on dormers, we're doing presidential shingles on the rest of it, or cedar Rhine zinc. You know, Rhine zinc's this great metal that is really getting, because it's got that gray look. Everybody loves the gray, and it's weathered. It's cool, but that's getting really popular now on the high-end stuff. And people want to see it, right? And they want to see photos. And
So you got a little ability.
Yep. So we got ability to do that. Bring
I'll
them
bring
in.
my customers here. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is going to be real nice.
Yeah. Okay. That's something we can talk about.
No, we're really with our big fish customers when we get opportunities for cedar roofs or very intricate high end metal. You will meet Cory. I bring him in.
Well, I appreciate
on
that.
these.
Thank you.
I trust you with our customer base for sure. And sometimes you're just better staying right in your lane.
Yeah.
We have a wide highway. We do a lot of different things. Yeah. We know how to do stuff, but this is a guy who's trustworthy, and it's right in your wheelhouse. And so it's been a great partnership for us. Well, thanks for joining us and taking the time today.
Sure.
For those of you who fell asleep with the cedar stuff, you can
Visual
wake up.
aids.
No, the detail is great, and
I bring that right to
I've seen you with customers before.
Yeah, I have a whole mobile office that I show and tell.
Yeah.
Right. I do a lot of show and tell with cedar and wood because those details, you're spending a lot on the money. You better know. It's important that you know what you're getting,
and you're passionate about it, which is what you really are. You can tell you're passionate about cedar, which is awesome. And
it's challenging. I like the we do a lot of challenging, unique roofs because it's fun. It's not. I shouldn't say roofs are boring, but after 25 years, certain roofs get boring.
Totally. Another hipper. Yep.
They get
on and off one day.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just don't do well at that.
Yeah.
I can, but I have people that we do well with performing them. But as far as my energy and passion and getting into stuff, yes, we really good at high level detail stuff with unique products. And I think I got a really good product base knowledge on a lot of stuff because we performed it.
And for our listeners, and when you're looking at cedar roofs, or some of these high-end products, they're very expensive, and B, and there is a difference. I'm telling you, there's a difference between a lot of times what LeFever Roofing is offering and that other bid that you're looking at. It's hard for homeowners to navigate because the devil's in the details, but I know the differences between the two, and
our proposals laid out
and you provide that
very
and
detailed
anybody
proposal.
can install a cedar roof.
Yep.
Can you it's much different than an asphalt.
It's a whole different skill set. You got to have
So,
guys that have done it, know how to handle it, and have done it. Any roofer can attempt it and maybe be successful, honestly, but there's a lot that don't, and they don't know that there's a couple details you don't get them right, and it's basically game over. I was on a roof last year, newly installed, and they missed one detail, and the whole roof had to be pulled off. $100,000. One detail missed,
nightmare,
and it went to litigation and all the ugly stuff you don't want to deal with.
Cory, you sound like a true expert. How can homeowners get a hold of you?
Well, they can call the office at 262-367, Heartland phone number based, 2800.
Awesome.
Or they can email me at Cory, Cory, no E, at LeFeverRoofing.com.
Wonderful.
LeFever.com.
That's it. LeFever, not an A, but an E.
Yeah. And you can also contact us.
We can put
you in. No, obviously we can put you right in touch with Cory as well. Hey,
truly
Tommy,
appreciate
where can
you
they
listening.
find us on the World Wide Web?
The World Wide Web. Big Fish Contracting.
HTTPS. Yeah.